Okay, so every investment decision needs to consider both the numbers as well as the qualitative. So every single investment needs a certain appraisal that does not purely rely on the numbers. So it is both quantitative and qualitative. This part deserves its own section because every investment into any company requires a reasonable appraisal of the future in order to determine whether the historic increase in earnings can be maintained. Therefore, to make this appraisal, you need to invest in the companies that you can understand. The easiest way to get an understanding of any company is to go to the annual report and read item 1, item 1 cap A, and item 7 for the USA entities. For companies in other countries, I would read the chairman and CEO's report, as well as the company's strategic objectives. All these can be found with a simple Ctrl+F search. The most important factors which will affect the ability of the business to continue to grow is the size of the company, the amount of competition, and the growth of the industry. If you have a company which has only captured a small portion of the market, it would be reasonable to assume that if the entity continues to expand, it would be able to capture more of the market and, in return, maintain a high growth rate in earnings. How can we determine this? We need to look at the current revenue or sales of the business and compare it to the total industry sales. The revenue or sales for the company in question can be found in the income statement right at the top. In order to find the industry sales, I would quite simply search it on the internet. I would recommend the following. In the search bar, type the name of the company's industry, such as food and beverage, and then the word revenue. Statista.com is a useful website for the search. However, it does give you a limited amount of searches. I would highly recommend doing a bit more research on the size of the market. If the company you are investing in produces a product that is for a niche market, this may require some additional research on the internet. Quite simply, you just have to do some digging on your search browser. Next, the amount of competitors in the market with a similar product or service will affect these future prospects. An appraisal needs to be made of the competitors in the market and whether they will be able to produce a product or service at the same quality of the company in question. In the long term, competitors will inevitably produce better and better products that will soon match that of the company in question. However, this may take many years. I would like to use Apple as an example. When the first iPhone was released in 2007, a level-headed appraisal of the product relative to the other smartphone devices out there would have indicated that Apple had a superior product. The touch technology, the speed of the software, the iTunes app, and build quality were all concrete factors that made the product superior to the competition. A qualitative analysis of this sort is required in order to determine whether the competition poses a threat to the future growth in earnings. This part quite simply requires another search on the internet to understand other companies that provide similar goods and services. Hence, one would need to type in the name of the product or services that the company is selling to assess the competition. Are their products as good? Do they have the same business features, etc.? In the case of Apple and their smartphones, I would go onto YouTube and watch product review and comparison videos in order to gain a better understanding. This is one of the easiest ways to do it. Lastly, we need to get an understanding of the industry outlook. Is it stagnant or is it growing rapidly? Naturally, you would expect it to be easier for companies in a growing industry to increase their earnings relative to companies in a slow growing industry. You would also need to search the size of the company and the industry. There are many websites which provide visual charts to show you whether an industry is growing or slowing. This section requires you to be a little adventurous on the internet. All you need to do is once again type the name of the industry followed by something like industry growth outlook or industry predictions, and you will be inundated with multiple websites.